Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Real Life Solutions with Uncle T. Hey, we got another prison chronicle, I like to call it, that I bring to you. You know, I was doing a little research, thinking about what I was going to talk about today, and people have no integrity anymore. People have no dignity anymore. People want to work law enforcement and have nothing going on for themselves. It must be just a job. And the percentage of correctional officers and law enforcement officers that are so dirty is ridiculous. I have several clips I want you to see on this video. And I'm going to tell you about my experience. Before I do that, I want you to stick it out. It's not going to be but a few minutes. I want you to check out the clips. And it's ridiculous that the amount of correctional officers who are getting arrested for bringing in contraband, weed, meth, fentanyl, to guys who are incarcerated. These guys got a plan set up. They have Cash App, bringing in telephones. I mean, just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, y'all, that I'm kind of glad that I'm not even in the game anymore. You know, I'm glad that I was in when I was in and done my time, you know. And it is so ridiculous. But I'm going to tell you about a story here. This is a true story. I don't bring anything false. I don't make up stories. I remember young in my career, I started out at a minimum custody institution, right? And, you know, randomly they hire people because we need help. But one thing you got to understand, you can have a good background check. You can have a clean record. But that has no way of telling if you are a person of morals or a person with integrity. This is some of the things that a correction officer's got to have, you know. And I know with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, they want to know your finances. They want to know everything. Because when you're talking about feds, I mean, we're talking about guys who have money on the outside, guys who have connections on the outside, you know, who may say, hey, bring in me, you know, meth, fentanyl, bring in stuff, contraband inside the prison. You know, the money will be in your mailbox, or your money that will be in a FedEx package. Or it may be on a Visa credit card that may show up at your house. So they want to know everything. But a lot of times state facilities, they don't have the means or the money to do those type of things or those background checks. And one thing about the feds, they do those checks. So if you got a screwed up credit history, you owe everybody in America, you know, they want to know everything about your history. But anyway, had this young guy, he was probably about 28 years old, who got hired at the facility. And, you know, we was training him, everything, getting him trained, whatnot. And he wasn't there no more than maybe 4 to 5 months. Probably about 5 months, I would say. I know it wasn't 6 months yet. And, you know, he seemed like a pretty laid back guy, you know, pretty cool and everything. And thing is, he knew a lot of guys who were incarcerated. And that's the thing, is a lot of times you may run into people who work in a prison that may know a lot of people. And I know, you know, one of the highest incarceration rate is among black men, African American males. So the chances that we went to school with somebody, the chances that, you know, we played sports with somebody, the odds are very well, you know, we may know a lot of people I know a lot of people who were incarcerated, but it wasn't enough The friendship, we wasn't that tight to where I was gonna be breaking the law and bringing you in contraband because you know, me and you may have knew each other on the street. Me and you may have went to high school together, but you ain't coming between my cheddar. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna come between me and my money. So it don't work like that. And plus, you don't have enough money to be trying to bribe me to bring in some weed for $1,000 or for $500. That's stupid. But anyway, the guy got trained, and we noticed that a lot of guys would flock to him, and a lot of guys would talk to him, and all of a sudden he was real cool with everybody. He was real down with a lot of the inmates, and we got a call. Well, I was the supervisor on duty in charge that day, and I remember that got a phone call. This is what's going to go down. Apparently, the guy was bringing in, the correction officer was bringing in weed, and superintendent set up a sting. He was bringing that day. I noticed that he always brought his lunch, but he never did bring like a normal lunch box. You know how people bring in a thermos or, a normal lunch box, they may have gotten from Walmart or whatever, that keep your food warm or cold or whatever. He always bought fast food. He was always bringing a Bojangles bag. He was always bringing a KFC or some type of barbecue sandwich he got from somewhere, or a sub. And that's what he always brought in. Well, that day, my boy came in with a big old 4-piece KFC chicken box. Came in with a 4-piece chicken box from KFC. I got a phone call that he had the weed inside the chicken box. Now, superintendent did not want me to bust him or take it because we might not have a case. And I think that was to allow him to carry the contraband on the yard and to take it inside the facility. I thought that shouldn't have never happened. But I got my orders that he was under surveillance, so apparently he was being watched to make sure contraband didn't go from him to the inmates and everything went sideways. So, and plus we did not know if he had the contraband in there or not, because, you just can't grab a staff member and just say, hey, I need to search you, because now you're dealing with dealing with lawsuits and everything now when you don't have any, you going off of the word of a snitch that a guy's bringing in stuff into the facility and you don't even know for a fact. All right, check this out. The superintendent had money. The inmates there could not only have denominations of $1 or $5 bills. Nothing over those denominations, but they couldn't have over $30 total. So this guy, the superintendent, had marked bills that he already had the serial numbers off of the bills. He had a total of $30. I guess he brought in, 2 or 3 joints. And the deal was he was going to sell these 2 or 3 joints to the inmate for $30. All right. So there were several staff members who was watching him go from the lineup room to the dormitory. And even our facilities guys were even in on it to where they was watching everything. So he made the deal. Now, I don't know if there was chicken in that box or not. I just know that it appeared to be KFC chicken. But after it was all said and done, the inmates told me that, yeah, he brought in a little 4-piece chicken box. I guess that was his lunch, but at the time I had no idea that it was anything in the box. It could have been just an empty box. Well, the deal was I guess he took the contraband out of the box, gave it to the inmate. Okay? The inmate gave him the $30. When the inmate made the transfer of drugs and the money inside the institution, now, let me tell you this was inside the institution. Immediately, that inmate went to one of the staff members who was outside the door and said, here it is. Gave him the contraband so he would have a chain of custody. Gave him the contraband and immediately went in and told the officer, superintendent wants to see you. And because the inmate said he stuck it in his right pocket, the money inside of his right pocket. So it wasn't an opportunity for the officer to put the money, in his jacket or anything like that. Superintendent wants to see you. I'll go ahead and relieve you of your post. Go ahead and head on up. So he was being watched from the time he left that post all the way up to the superintendent's office once he got outside the fence. Now, superintendent got him in the office, had the other lieutenants in there and say, superintendent was like, okay, look like you've been a little busy, and let him know it's been brought to my attention that you're dirty, that you've been bringing in drugs to my institution. And you can either come clean right now and resign, or I'm going to do everything I can to have you jailed. How about giving me that $30 that's in your pocket? Dude tried to play the superintendent and say, what are you talking about? That's my money. I mean, what are you talking about? That's my money. That's money I had earlier that I broke some money when I went to the drive-thru. He tried to play the superintendent, right? Now, he was probably taking a big chance that wasn't the money, but everybody was watching this guy. Everybody was watching him. Superintendent said, I can guarantee you that money in your pocket is my money, and I can tell you the serial numbers off of those money. How would I know the serial numbers off of that money if you hadn't exchanged with that inmate and I gave that inmate a chain of custody to that money because you were bringing in weed? And matter of fact, here's the weed right here that you brought in, and I will I will take you to court, and I will get a testimony from this inmate that you sold him the weed inside the institution. Now, he pulls out the money, and sure enough, superintendent had a list of every bill that he actually gave that inmate and the serial numbers off of there, and every bill that he had was on that list. You busted. You are straight busted. How else? Why would the superintendent have serial numbers of money that you got from a drive-through coming to work? You stopped at KFC and bought something to eat. How would the superintendent have serial numbers off of that money? Straight busted. He resigned right then, took all his equipment. Superintendent let him go, and they put him on a do not hire list, that he will not be hired again as a correction officer, and it'll be on his record that he be flagged. So this is the type of stuff that goes on all the time. And you wonder, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What in the world are you thinking when you decide to bring in contraband, weed and fentanyl, methamphetamines, and people have brought in heroin? And I'm just like, wow, you endanger a lot of people. What's going to happen when that inmate who is a drug addict gets a hold of some meth, he may hurt other inmates. He may hurt staff. I mean, first thing everybody always talk about is staff. What about the other inmates that the state is sworn to protect? What happens when that inmate freak out on another inmate and kill 2 or 3 inmates because a staff member brought in something that made this joker just freak out? He on heroin. He's on meth. And now you got fentanyl. People are bringing in fentanyl. Don't even know the dosage. You know, they talking about just a little bit of fentanyl will kill you. And you got jokers bringing in fentanyl, giving it to the population. What's going to happen when you just have dead guys just dropping dead throughout the institution because they done OD'd on fentanyl? But check this out. I got several clips that I want you to watch, and I want you to check out, and I want you to comment in the comment section. Tell me some of the stories that you may have dealt with while you've been in law enforcement, correctional officer, or a jailer, or anything that you know. I want to hear your stories. Even if you've been incarcerated, I want to hear what you observed and what you saw inside the institution. I appreciate that. Y'all give me some likes, give me some thumbs up, subscribe. And hey, this is Uncle T. We keep it real. And check out the skits, well, not the skits, but check out the clips right now.